Thank you, Diana. And Diana, thank you. What an awesome opportunity to work with Diana. You are super awesome. Thank you, the Chamber of Commerce. I've been with the Chamber of Commerce for about 10 years now. I'm a past president, and that organization has really helped me personally grow my business. So if you're not a member of the Chamber, definitely look into it with Marina back there. So we're going to get started today. We're going to talk a lot about conversion rate, but I saw a lot of, how many of you have been in business less than a year? Well, less than 2 years. Keep your hand up, please. Less than 2 years. Okay, less than 3 years. More than 5 years. Okay, I'm going to focus a little bit, I'm going to adjust this a little bit, so I'm going to focus more about building the business, and then we'll go into the conversion rate. Is that okay with everyone? Fantastic. So we're going to start out a little bit. First of all, I'd like to introduce Elisa. Elisa Yu, my business partner with Action Coach. She'll be coming on here shortly to take us through some of the specifics, but let's get started. Do I need this microphone, or is it better without it? Better without it? I have never been accused of Action Coach is the world's largest business coaching firm. We've got over 1,000 coaches worldwide, and we coach over 15,000 businesses each week. We've got the process, system, and tools to help you grow your business and get you to where you want to go. Joe, you guys can look me up on LinkedIn, so I'm not going to spend much time here. Diana gave me a great introduction. The only thing she missed is I am a United States military veteran, the United States Army. Go Army, hoorah. Elisa, where are you? There you are. So Elisa, I've had the privilege of working with Elisa. Elisa's got a phenomenal background from an educational perspective, MBA from Martin, master's in chemical engineering, certified business coach, certified executive coach, IFC coach, NLP practitioner. She's also started her own business and sold it for 10x revenue. If anyone knows what that means, Wendy back there, I know she does. That's phenomenal. So she's not only has the education experience, but has been through the process. So I'm honored and have the privilege of working with Elisa. So let's get started here. Everyone familiar with left brain, right brain? Okay. So everyone please turn off your phones if you haven't already. Okay, so left brain, words, math, logic, processes, short-term memory. Right brain, art, music, colors, etc., right? Okay, so how many of you would like to increase your reading comprehension by 30% starting right now? Fantastic. So next time you're reading a book, it's words. It goes into short-term memory. Put classical music in the background. It'll open up the right side of your brain and increase your reading comprehension. Who does this now? Does it work? Try it, it works. It's kind of cool too. Give me a call when it does work and say, Joe, wow, you're amazing. Say, thank you very much. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun. Is that okay? Anybody in here colorblind? No, fantastic. What I'd like you to do is look at the following and call out the word. Okay, ready? Go. Out loud, this is interactive. Pretty simple, right? Okay, now what I want you to do is look at the next slide and call out the color, not the word, okay? The color, not the word. Out loud, ready? Go.
Yellow, green,
Time out. Who's having problems with this? Well, you guys know your colors. What's wrong? Okay, we're going to try one more time. Ready? Go. Oh. Okay. So what's happening here? Why is this so hard? Well, we're using our left brain, right brain. We're confusing it with words and colors. This happens every day in your business when you're using your left brain and then you go right brain, you go right, you get to the end of the day, I'm all tired, I'm exhausted, and I got nothing done. One of the techniques that we teach is bundling your tasks together to leverage your left brain, right brain, or your functionality or modalities so that you can be more efficient by the end of the day. And we guarantee to get 8 hours back in your work week. And there's a book by that. Yes, I got to plug myself. brainSHARE, guaranteed to get you 8 hours back in your work week. If you don't want to read the book, come by, see Lisa or I, and we'll put together a workshop for you. Make sense? Still having fun? One more time. Ready? Go. Okay. Now, if we do this 5 times, you'll actually stop seeing the words and you'll only see the colors, which is really cool. And this is how we start getting more efficient. Also, I want to get you a little confused because we learn better when we're confused. Now we're going to go into the line of power. Ownership, accountability, responsibility. When we take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for everything that happens in our business and our lives, we've got the oar, the paddle, to get us where we want to go. Or blame, it's Jimmy's fault. Excuses, my alarm didn't go off. Or denial, which means don't even know I am lying to myself. Might as well stay in bed. Now, I was doing this workshop a while back, and one of the persons in the back of the room goes, bull-oni. He didn't say baloney, but we'll keep it at that. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I got mugged. It wasn't my fault. I said, really? Can we talk about that for a minute? And he goes, sure. I said, specifically, where were you? And he goes, L.A. And I said, well, L.A. is a really, really big city. I'm pretty familiar with it. Had a couple of offices there. I said, specifically, where were you in L.A.? He says, Compton. I said, Compton? I kind of know Compton. It's a big warehouse area, not too nice an area. He goes, well, yeah. And I said, and specifically, what time was it? They said 2 o'clock. I said, oh, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I get that. He said, no, 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, really? I said, and specifically, what were you doing? He says, going to an ATM. I said, going to an ATM? He says, yeah. I said, and you have no accountability, responsibility for that? And he goes, well, maybe I do. I said, that's right. When we look back, almost everything, we have some level of ownership, accountability, and responsibility for ourselves and our businesses and our lives. Make sense? Anybody? Cool? Make sense? So, when we say or think this, what happens? I know. What happens? Our brain shuts off. A steel door comes down. There's a chemical reaction in your brain. It says, I already know that. I'm going to take input from everywhere else. A steel door comes down. Everything starts bouncing off it. Everybody say, I know. Can you feel that? Now try this. Isn't that? Can you feel your brain change? So as we think or say, I know, you stop learning. When we say or think, isn't that? Our brain opens up and we can learn. So let's incorporate that into things as we move forward. Sound good? Okay, we're having fun now? What's the definition of a successful business?
One that makes money. One that runs without you.
One that runs without you.
One that runs without you, one that makes money. How about this? A commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. Who wants that in their business? Who doesn't? Who's not going to raise their hand no matter what? Okay, some of you don't want this, and that's okay, because you're creating a job or a hobby. There's 3 levels of business: hobby, job, or business that works without you. And it's okay, whatever you want. Just know what you want. That makes sense? It's your destination, not mine. Okay? So to build this, building a business is like building a house. When we start building a business or a house, what do we start with? Foundation. So the foundation is what we call mastery. And the foundation has 4 cornerstones. Take out your notes, take out that handout, and start taking some notes on this. Why do we take notes? It increases our retention rate 32%. Everyone heard that before? Take notes. The foundation has 4 cornerstones. Cornerstone number 1 is your most valuable asset. One more time. Time. Time is your most valuable asset. You can make more money, you cannot make more time. How you utilize your time will determine the success of your life and your business. Make sense? By the way, there's a great book on that called brainSHARE, just in case you didn't just in case you didn't get that. It talks about it. We also have a couple of videos on our YouTube. So time is your first one. Number 2 cornerstone is destination. Where do you want your business to be? If you don't define it, you might just get there. It's probably not where you want to be. So for some of us, it might not be having a big organization. It might be making $400,000 a year. It might be making $200,000 a year. It might be helping 1,000 people. There's somebody, it might be, where's our MBA graduate? Might be helping 1,000 people. It's your destination, not mine, but you must define it. Cornerstone number 3, delivery. Delivery is about consistency in your product or service. Who makes more hamburgers than anybody else in the world? McDonald's. Are they the best? Then why do they make the most? Consistency. They were the first one to be consistent in their product. You go to McDonald's just about anywhere in the world, you know what you're going to get, you get it, and you pay what you know what you're going to pay for it, and you pay for it. If your business is not consistent, you're going to have problems. As you create your business, consistency is all about training your employees to have a consistent feel. Make sense? And the 4th cornerstone is the easy one. It's money. Money is just numbers. Knowing your numbers is a little harder. How many of you know how many leads you need to get to hit your financial goal this week, this month, this year? How many of you know what your conversion rate is? Isn't that? How many know your average dollar sale, number of transactions per year, your net margin and your gross margins? If you don't, come see us. Make sense? Okay, now we've got the foundation down. That's just the foundation. Okay? That doesn't get you going. Niche gets us going. Take notes on this one. Ready? Niche is about target market. How many of you know your target market? Down to the color of hair, color of eyes. Ooh. Target market, if you walk outside right now, and it's nice and sunny out there, and you're out there, you might get a little sunburn, right? But you walk out there with a magnifying glass, put it on your foot, what's going to happen? You're going to burn a hole in your foot. That's right. Because the tighter the target market, the hotter the flame. Now, I hear this all the time. Yeah, but I'm losing opportunities. You can move that fire around anywhere you want. But the tighter it is when your target market, the hotter the flame. Target market, number 1. Unique selling proposition, number 2. Every one of your businesses is unique. Defining that is not easy. Who's got a great unique selling proposition? You know. Yeah, unique selling proposition. Okay, me, my unique selling proposition. I've helped over 2,000 businesses. I've written 2 books, certified business coach, certified executive coach, certified NLP practitioner. I've missing something. I've written 2 books and I helped over 1,000 businesses. Not many coaches can say that. In fact, I don't know of any. That makes me unique. And I like to have fun. Woo-hoo. Right? What's unique about your business? We have a full workshop on how to define your unique selling proposition. It takes about 2 hours to go through it. If you're interested in that, at the end of this, sign up for one of those free workshops. Okay? Number 3, guarantee. What guarantee do you have in your business? And why do you want to have one? Anybody? Yeah, no. Okay, close. It's taking away the fear of buying. Who's afraid to buy? Everyone. We have a guarantee to take away the fear of buying. Our guarantee, 4 months we pay for ourselves, we give you your money back. Pretty good guarantee, right? What's yours? We actually have a guarantee calculator that says, oh, but it's going to cost me so much money. We can actually calculate out the potential of what a guarantee is going to run you. Make sense? So, unique selling proposition, target market guarantee. This is also where you do your marketing, your tactical marketing, your who, what, why, when, where, and how much it's going to cost you to set that appointment. Okay? Marketing is about what? Marketing is about what? Setting appointments. Getting leads. It's not about closing the sale. If you're trying to close the sale when you're doing marketing, you are going to lose every single time. Marketing is about setting appointments, getting the phone call, getting engaged. Then when you go to sales, that's when we go to the close. If you're selling when you're supposed to be marketing, you never get the appointment, you never get the sale. We're going to talk about that a little more as we go through today. Does that make sense? Okay, so target market, unique selling proposition, guarantee, 10 by 10 marketing plan. This is where you have your 10 different marketing strategies, your tactical marketing plan, and your sales training. And we're going to go through a little bit of sales training today with question-based selling. Okay, make sense so far? Then we get to leverage. This is where you put your systems in place. Jot this one down. System. Save yourself time, energy, and money. This is about your recruiting systems, your hiring systems, your operations systems, your firing systems, your accounting systems, your HR systems. We've got a great HR consultant right here, by the way. If you don't know Karen, you need to talk to her. Okay, and then now we've got a smooth running machine. Now we can put our team together. If you try to put your team together down here, guess what? You're going to have the wrong team up here. And we've had clients that had to fire their spouses, their siblings, and their father. I had one that had to fire his father 2 days before Father's Day. Tore us up, man. We cried, man. It was hard. But it had to be done because you got the wrong team in place. Make sense? This is where you put your org chart, roles and responsibilities, KPIs. Make sure you have everything in place. I'm spending a little more time on this because some of you have new businesses. Then we get to synergy. You got a well-oiled machine. Everything's running smooth now. And what do? We change our modality from profit and loss to valuation. Okay, everyone know what that means? If you don't, come see us. This is where, how much is the business worth? Because the next step is to sell it. Okay? I hear a lot of people, oh, I don't want to sell my business. Only reason to start a business is to sell it. Robert Kiyosaki. You can't take it with you. Oh, I want residual income. Bullshit. Excuse my language. Think sell, because then it doesn't matter what you do. Our first year doing this, we had a $250 million construction company that came to us that was in trouble. The husband of the owner just had a stroke. They came to us, and she goes, well, I want the business the way it was. I can't make it the way it was. I couldn't help her. And in 18 months, I watched that business go bankrupt, and I cried because I couldn't help them, because I couldn't get her to define where she wanted to go. She couldn't sell it because it was her baby. It had her name on it. And I cried. Think sell, then you can do whatever you want. Make sense? Cool. Okay, now let's get into the 5 ways. I'd like to introduce Elisa, and she's going to take us through the 5 ways. She's talking about somebody that's phenomenal with financials. It's Elisa. So, Elisa, welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. And that we want more of. Money. Money and time. We want more clients, right? We want more clients, we want more money. And money comes in 2 forms, right? One is what we call the top line, which is revenue, right? The bottom line, which is profit. Right? So there are the 3 things we really want. Number of clients, sales, and profits. But guess what? You can't improve them directly, right? Because these are results. These are not immediate factors you can do anything to improve. What we say in action is that there are 5 ways, there's only 5 ways you can do to improve your business. They are number of leads, conversion rate, number of transactions, average dollar sales, and your margin. These 5 ways you can actually do something to see the result, right? And of course, today we only have another 40 minutes. So we're not going to be able to go through all the 5 ways and all the strategies that we can use to improve your bottom line. At the end of the day, the bottom line is what you want, right? But we are going to focus on one area, and that is the conversion rate. Because that's the lowest hanging fruit, and that doesn't cost you anything more. You already have the leads in your office or in your store. It is for you to close, right? So how do you close them when they already come to you? So we're going to focus on that, and we're not going to be able to do all the ways that we can implement to increase our conversion rate. We're only going to focus on one effective way to increase your current conversion rate, and that's called question-based selling. There is a book having the same name, Question-Based Selling by Thomas Friis. Who have read that book before? If you haven't, oh great, we have 1 person. If you haven't, you might want to check out that book. That's a pretty good book, talks about question-based selling. And I'm going to go through the entire framework and tell you how you can do things a little differently in your sales process. Sounds good? All right. So, who thinks that you're a salesperson? We actually have a few, right?
Everybody, that's right.
Everybody, but whenever we talk about being a salesperson, we say what? I'm not a salesperson. I'm an engineer. I'm an attorney. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a loan broker. I'm a finance person. I'm everything but salespeople, right? And why? Because whenever we think of salesperson, who do we think of? The used car salesperson, right? In the lot. And so, let me just make it easy for you. What is it? Let's go back to the basic. What is the definition of a salesperson? What do you think of when you think about salesperson? How do you define a salesperson? Anyone? What comes to mind whenever we say salespeople? Pushy. Yes. Selling something you don't want, right? That's negative connotation, right? Any positive ones out there that you can think of? Knowledgeable. Yes, right? So the basic definition, were you going to say something? Educator. Great. Presenter. That's good. Now we have some positive connotation, right? The definition of a salesperson is professionally helping others, people to buy, right? We love to buy. And look at Amazon, look at all the department store. How much money are we spending each year, right? We love to buy, but we absolutely hate to be sold to, right? So a real salesperson is the one that will professionally help other people to make that purchasing decisions. And my favorite definition of selling is to educate, like what you said, to educate your potential buyer enough so they make a conscious decision to whether your product or service is going to help them, both in life or in business. How do you like that? Do you see yourself in that role? If you do, we're all salespeople. All right? So now, let me ask you this. What the purchasing decision based on? Are they mainly based on logic or mainly based on emotion? Who thinks they're mostly based on logic? Okay. All right. Who thinks they're based on emotion mainly? Who is not going to raise their hand regardless? All right. As it turned out, 20% are based on logic and 80% based on emotion. So today, the bottom line of this topic is if you cannot touch someone's emotion, if you cannot touch someone's emotion, you're not going to get the sales, right? Now, great salespeople all have a purpose, and that purpose is what? Focus, make money. Focus on your prospect, not your products. Focus on your prospects, knowing their needs, knowing their wants, knowing their desire, and knowing their fear and their pain. That's when you can elicit that emotion, and that's when you get the sales. There are two books I want to recommend to you. You might want to write this down. The first one is by Spencer Johnson called 1 Minute Sales Manager. Who have read that book? A salesperson. The second book is by Og Mandino, and that's a pretty classic book that's pretty old. And that's The Greatest Salesman in the World. Who has read that book? All right. So these two books are very easy reads. If you haven't read them, just pick them up. Spencer Johnson, 1 Minute Salesperson. The second book is Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. Right. So the greatest salesperson in the world do have a Christian undertone to it. So if you don't mind, that's a great book. It's a very classic book on sales. All right? But both of them talk about this. You need to focus on your prospect, not your product. And then you come up on top. Okay? Now, who controls the conversation? The person asking the question or the person doing the talking? Questions, right? Joe, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What car are you driving?
I'm driving a Toyota today.
What is the most important feature that you like in your car?
The room it has.
The room it has. See how I'm controlling where the conversation goes? By asking questions, right? So no doubt, the person asking the question is the one controlling where the conversation goes. All right? Now, as a salesperson, defined by our definition, we are problem solvers. Our best tool, our best weapons are questions, right? You ask a question, you elicit their emotion, and you let your prospect do the selling for you. Right? That's the goal for this entire question-based selling process. Now, how does this process go? It's actually pretty simple. You ask a question, they give you an answer. You keep asking questions, they keep giving you an answer, and the process go asking question and answer. At some point, your prospect would ask you a question, and that's when you know that you have reached their emotion, and the sales is for you to have. All right? So whenever you get to the point that they ask you a question, you have already dig deep enough to elicit their emotion. Cool? Now, I'm going to have to tell you this. This is the old selling process, and this is actually the selling process I trained my sales team when I was running my own company. Right? It goes like this. You build rapport. You make friends with them, right? You take them out to coffee, to lunch, to game, whatever have you, just make friends with them, right? Once you establish that rapport, now you sell. You take everything in your bag and lay it on the table, and hopefully something is going to stick with them, right? And then after that, what do? You follow up, you relentlessly follow up until they buy, or they tell you that they no longer are interested. Does this sound familiar? Is that how you were trained? This is how I was trained, and this is how I train my salespeople, right? But I'm going to tell you a different process now. And this process is basically what we call a question funnel. It starts with asking asking a series of open-ended questions. And the goal for these questions are to solicit their emotion. Because we say 80% of the time it's emotional decision. If you cannot get to their emotion, you cannot get the sales. So open-ended questions are to elicit their emotion. And this is actually where most salespeople are very weak at, right? We say the strategy is to play dumb and dig deeper. And I don't like the word play dumb because it almost feels like you're pretending, right? What it really means is don't assume anything. Don't assume you know, just ask, right? And one example is I have quite a bit of prospects who come to me and say, hey, Elisa, I need your help because I need some time management tools. I'm too busy and all that, and I just need time management help. And I have made this mistake enough times, so that's why I'm telling you now. I jumped right into it. I assume, oh, you need time management help? Great. Joe's book, that time management system, that's what we're good at. Oh yeah, of course, I have this small business calendaring system. I'm gonna get this implement with whatever you have right now. In a few months, you're gonna be up and running, right? And then later on, you'll figure out that's actually not what they wanted, right? Just ask questions, don't assume. So now, whenever they come to me and say, I have time management issue, and I say, what is it that you wanted to do more? What is it that you're not having enough time to do yet? Why is it that you can't get to where you want to be, right? Then you actually start to get deeper and you understand more about their real issues, and you also get them to touch their emotion. It's actually not about the time, it's about some other things that is holding them back, right? So ask questions, play dumb, and dig deep. That's the fundamental of this. And usually open-ended questions start with, who, where, what, when, why, and how. These are the questions that you ask that they cannot say yes and no. They cannot give you a number, and they cannot just give you one word or two words to answer you, right? So think about this, and if you don't know what open-ended questions are or what open-ended questions works for you, it's time for you to write them down. What are some open-ended questions you can ask in your industry, in your business, that would solicit emotions in your potential clients, right? So open-ended question, and then second is specific question. This is actually where most salespeople are very good at, because we're good at what we do and we know our product and we know our service, right? For me, this is like, how many years have you been in business? How many employees do you have? What's your current revenue? What's your goal in a year? What's your revenue goal in a year, right? These are all the things that you know you're going to ask your clients in order to solidify which product or service you're going to recommend to them. So we're very good at specific questions. And with open-ended and specific questions, hopefully we get to their emotion and we know the scope of the project. This is when you give them solutions. And we'll talk about that a little later. And after that, you check their temperature. It basically means, is your solution fit into what they had in mind? Are you on the same page at the end of the game, right? Make adjustment, and then eventually you ask a detailed question and you close. So that's the process for question-based selling. That's a question-based selling funnel, right? And now, when I say you ask a question and they give an answer, ask a question, it's not simply just ask one question, they give answer and move on. It's actually a question cycle. And the cycle goes like this. You ask a question, they give you an answer, you make it okay. Regardless what you hear, make it okay. And I'm going to go through the whole process and I'll give you an example. Make it okay. Then you cite a story or statistics, right? Like 80% of the people are like you today, right? Cite a statistic or tell a story. Then you give them a label, and then you take notes and you move on to the second question. So, for example, I would ask someone, how much are you spending now in your marketing? And Person said, I just spent $200,000 on Facebook ad alone last month. That's right. That's right is the most neutral way of making it okay. They are where they are. Just make it okay. That's right. Most of my clients spent a lot of money on marketing, right? Give them the story. Then say, I think we should do a ROI analysis on your marketing effort to see if they're giving you the return that you need, right? Give them a label, an ROI analysis. Now at this point, they are probably gonna be very interested in figuring out what that is, right? Oh, ROI analysis, what is it? How do you do them, right? Don't address them right then, right there. Say, you know what, I'm gonna take a note because I need to know more about your business and I'll give you an overall picture of what I think you need. So I'm just gonna take a note and we'll come back and we'll revisit it. So don't go into a rabbit hole at that point because you haven't understood their business yet and you haven't elicited their emotion yet. So take a note, move on to the next question. So besides Facebook marketing, what other marketing effort are you currently using? Right? Move on to the next question and go through this cycle again. So that's how you ask question. That's how the question process goes. Right? And when you ask a question, you need to give them some information, like I said, the labeling, right? And another thing is you need to talk in prospect's language. And when I say that, I'm talking about twofold, right? One is you need to understand their learning style. Who are familiar with the VAC learning style? A few, right? It stands for visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So there are only 3 learning styles that every one of us have, either a visual learner, auditory learner, or a kinesthetic learner. And I'm not gonna go into detail, but I'll be more than happy to go offline with you because DISC and VAC are combined with question-based selling is a very powerful tools. However, they're a little bit more sophisticated. Actually, this and VAC is one of the workshops that we do. So I'll be more than happy to go offline with you. But in any sense, on the high level, VAC, what does it mean? If they're a visual learner, use visual words, right? Do you see that? Can you picture this? Because they form image in their head. Auditory learner, how does that sound to you? You know, the sound, right? And the kinesthetic people, how does that feel to how do you feel about it, right? It's a feeling. So use the word that actually, use the language that is in their modality of learning. They're gonna pick up a lot easier than other language that you use. Second fold of this is actually noticing. This is when your active listening comes in. Notice certain phrase or certain words that means differently to them, or they use under a certain context, right? So I have a client, a potential client once come in, and whenever he wanted to tell me something important, he'd say, hey, listen, listen, listen. If I don't get this contract, I'm doomed, right? If I don't this, I'm whatever. Whenever he wanted to tell me anything important, he would say, listen, listen, listen. Pick that up, and in my answer to them, to him, I actually say, hey, listen, listen, listen. For this whole plan to work, the very critical step, step 1 is here. If you don't get this implemented, forget about the rest of the plan, right? So I reflect what he told me. I know that in that context means it's important. I reflect it back to him so he can pick it up, right? So talk in your prospect's language, all right? And now, another important thing you need to bear in mind is what's in it for me. All your prospect, whenever they're talking to you, that's what in their head. What's in it for me, right? Think about it as the initial WIIFM, as in a radio station, right? WIIFM. Before you go into any sales call, tune yourself to that channel, WIIFM. And remember, it's all about your clients. It's all about their needs, their wants, their desire, and their struggle, their pain. right? It's not about you, it's not about your product. So tune into that, and better yet, just to get you used to it, here's a tip, right? The next time you go into your potential client and start talking to them, just imagine your clients have WIIFM tattooed in their foreheads, in that color, right? That will give you a big smile, and that will also remind you that it's about them. So it's all about what your clients want, not about your product, right? Okay, so after you reach the emotion and you find out what they need by the specific questions and the open-ended question, now it's time to offer solutions. And when we say offer a solution, it really depends on their DISC profile. Who is familiar with DISC profile? Personality profile? Not a lot, right? It basically, in a high level, most people fall into one or two categories in a personality or behavioral profile, and they call the DISC, which stand for dominance, inspiration, steadiness, and consistency or conscientiousness, however you want to define it. Basically, there are different personality of a person. You can actually listen to their conversation and sort of get an idea who they are. Are they more dominant? Are they more party-goer, inspirational? Are they more like laid back and reserved, but steady and don't like changes? Or are they more analytical? Right? It's all about numbers. It's all about being perfect. Right? So their personality profile depends. Based on their personality profile, you offer your solution differently. I'm just going to give you an example, and as I said, DISC is a pretty big topic. I'll be more than happy to go offline with you on that. But let's say they're a dominant person. They're a high D personality. These type of people, they want to make decisions. They want to be in control. They want it quick. They're impatient, right? With them, you say, hey, based on what you told me, John, either X solution or Y solution will suit you the best. I'll give you a real brief summary on each one of them, and you can make a decision which one you think you want to go with. Right? So you give them the choice, make it brief, and you move on. Right? So give them a solution. And then after you give them a solution, it's time to check temperature. Basically see and give them a detailed question. Basically, this is at a point you want to see if your offer agree with what they have in mind. Are you missing something? Right? So a temperature question is pretty simple. What does that fit into what you have in mind, right? Or I always like to say, what do you think about it? How do you like it, right? And you just check to see if they say, oh yeah, that's exactly what I have in mind. Or say, oh, actually I'm looking for a little bit over here. Do you have solution for that? This is for you to adjust your offer, right? After the solution and they say this is good, you assume the sale. And it's yours to lose. You assume the sales because they, I'm sorry? Good? Question? No? All right. So now, detailed question, this is where you already assume the sales, and it's yours to lose, right? And detailed question you ask is this. Based on what you told me, John, we would better get started now, shouldn't we? Right? And my usual question is, when do you want to get started? Right? And my partner Joe there, his best question with this is, when do you want to start improving your business? Right? So whatever fits you, you have to have a detailed question prepared, one or two detailed questions prepared to ask that, because that's when you can move to close. All right? Now, when you ask that question, you need to be able to handle objections, right? Handling objection is pretty big a topic. I'm only going to give you an overall framework of how to go about handling objection. The most important thing is, if you don't reach an agreement, you want to lay all objections on the table at once. before you move on to handling them. Or else you ask them, hey, when do you want to start? Well, I don't have the time for it. You deal with that objection, then they say, oh, actually, I still can't move on because of something, right? So you want to put all objections up in front and then deal with them at the same time. And what do you do that? You say, okay, if they say time is what I have a problem with, right? I don't have time. You say, okay, great, but if time is not an issue, are you ready to move forward today? Right? They're going to have to tell you yes or no. And one thing is they're actually going to dig deeper. Maybe they will tell you why exactly they have the objection with, right? Maybe they say, well, it's too expensive, I can't afford it. Okay, great. Besides time and money, is there anything else, right? And if they say, oh, I still have to get my spouse approval. Besides time, money, and spouse approval, is there anything else that would prevent you from making a decision today? You want to ask all that until they say, no, there's no other, if all these pan out, then I will be able to make a decision and move forward today. So then that's great. Let's spend some time, let's invest some time to look at solutions here to see if we can get to an agreement, right? That's the framework where you want to handle objection. And once you get to agreement, it's time for you to move on and close. And basically it says, hey, great, let me explain how it is for you to sign on to my service, right? But my favorite is just this. Let's get the paperwork out of the way today, and let's get your credit card on file, and let's schedule our first session together, right? So that is my comfortable close, or not my comfortable way of moving into the logistics. What is yours? If you don't have one, you need to think about one to use. All right, and it's all about training, practice. Practice it until you feel comfortable about it so that you're not trying to act like you're scripting. Good? So with that, I think it's time to move into action, and I'm turning it back to my partner, Joe.